there's a famous question that the Gemara in Yuma, the Medrash says that Avram Avinu kept all Taryag mitzvahs, even Erev Tavshilin, he kept everything. So the question is, what took Avram Avinu 99 years to be Mekayim the mitzvah of Milah? Why did he wait till the Tzivah of the Eibishter? Why wasn't he Mekayim it together with all the other mitzvahs? Lulav, Sukkah, all these mitzvahs he was Mekayim all throughout his years. So what took him so long to be Mekayim the mitzvah of Milah? Why did he wait for the Tzivah of the Eibishter and until he was Mekayim this mitzvah? So there's many truths given. I'll say two of them. The Bris says that he says an interesting chiddush. He says that there was no mitzvah of Milah before the tzivah of Milah. He said the mitzvah of Milah is to take off the arla. The arla is a chsar, and take it off. And before the mitzvah of Milah, that extra the foreskin, didn't have a shem arla. It didn't have that shem arla, so it wasn't extra. There was no arla to take off. When the Eibishter was mitzvah that there's a mitzvah of Milah, that means the Eibishter was saying that this foreskin, this arla, has a shem arla, and now there's a mitzvah to take it off. And only then was there Inyan to take off the arla. So only then was he mekayim the mitzvah of Milah. This is what the Bris says. L'maisa, it's shver from a Taisvis. The Gemara in Yevamah says that Amar Rav bar Yitzchak Amar Rav lo nitna prius Milah l'Avram Avinu. Priya was not given to Avram Avinu. It was only given by Yeshua. The pasuk says by Yeshua, Amar Hashem al Yeshua aselucha charveis tzurim, and the pasuk continues, Vishuv molas bnei Yisrael shenis. Make for yourself sharp swords, and then vishuv, and then go back and give a milah to bnei Yisrael shenis again. So the Gemara darshans, what's vishuv? What are we going back on? It was nischadish that besides for milah there was priya. Just to keep it simple, milah is there's two skins, and milah is the top skin that you're mechuyev to take off, and priya is underneath our priya you're mechuyev to take off also. So Avram Avinu was nitztav in Milah, and wasn't mitzvah in Priya, and Priya was only nischadish by Yeshua. That's what the Gemara says. So Taisvis says, which is a machlekes Rishonim, but Taisvis says, when we call Malcolm Avram para Milasin, but Avram Avinu was para, even though it wasn't nitztava then, but he was para. Avagav la nitztava. Because the Medrash says, Tais quotes the Medrash, Afilu Erev Tavshilin is Mekayim. He was Mekayim everything. So it doesn't make sense if he was Mekayim everything. Why would he not be Mekayim the mitzvah of Priya? And Tais asks, how could Yeshua be Mechadish? How could there be a mitzvah as Nischadish later by Yeshua? Ein Novi Rashay L'Chadish Davar Me'ata. So Tais says, Yeshlam the Halach L'Maish Misinai Hu. Yeshua asked Mechai Akra Ba'etzim, it was from Matan Torah. It was Halach L'Maish Misinai. But it was taken only nitztav later. It wasn't nitztav by Avram Avinu, but still he kept it because like all other mitzvahs he kept. According to the Bris Rav, we would say the same thing by Priya, that until it was nitztav, didn't have a shamarla. So why would there be a chiv to take it off? But still we see that that there was a mitzvah, and hitaka was perez. So by Milah should be the same thing, kipshuta. So I'll give, there's another teretz, which is probably a simpler teretz, that Pasha Milah is not just Milah, not stam a mitzvah, but it's a bris Milah. It's a treaty between the Eibishter and the person, between the Eibishter and Klal Yisrael. And that only makes sense. A mitzvah, you could be Mekayim mitzvah. There's inyanim to the mitzvah. Even before it's nitztav, you could be Mekayim the inyanim of the mitzvah. But bris milah, which is a bris, you can't make a treaty until there's two people there that are willing to make that, until they're willing to go into that bris. So Avram Avinu wasn't able to be mekayim bris milah. He could have done the ma'aseh milah, but that bris wouldn't have been niskayim until the Eibishter came and told him to do this mitzvah milah, and only then would it be possible to have this treaty to make this bris. So he waited till the Eibishter was mitzavim to make that bris. So I want to handle this. The Gemara says that Priya was nitztava after the mitzvah milah was given to Avram Avinu, and then Priya was nitztava by Yeshua. So how do we understand that?
Isn't Shabbos also a bris?
Shabbos is also a bris. There are Yanim, but bris milah that's the whole thing. That's all it is. It's a bris milah. It's a mitzvah of being a bris. Shabbos there are Yanim. There are different Yanim, but it's be'ikr mitzvah and it's also bris. That's what I would think. How do we understand this? There are two parts to this mitzvah. Is it two mitzvahs? Is it one mitzvah? How do we understand? So there are different Rishonim that sound like there's different shits over here. The Rosh in Rav Laz B'milah says that you're supposed to make the mitzvah of Lachnis Bris Shel Avram Avinu before the Priya. After the Milah, and you make it in between, before the Priya, you make the bracha. Why? Because it needs to be Eivel Asiyasin. So it's Mavor, he holds that the bracha Lachnis is Brechsa Mitzvahs, and he says you should make it Eivel Asiyasin. So the Rishonim, the Eshkol, the Baal Iter asks on him that why should make it? Why is that Eivel Asiyasin? They say that the Priya is just Shiori Mitzvah. It's like the Hemshech. It's the extra. It's the extension of the mitzvah. What it would sound like from the Rosh is that it's Eivel Asiyasin because it's a mitzvah milah, it's a mitzvah of Priya, and before you come into the mitzvah of Priya, the bracha of Lachnisa is a bracha on the Priya, and that's Eivel Asiyasin. That's the time. It sounds like there's two separate mitzvahs, the milah and the Priya, and you're making on that second mitzvah. Rabbi Chanan is medayik in Tais brings a Megillah Starm that says that Klal Yisrael in the Midbar were Molav Lai Paru. They got milah, they didn't get Priya. Why? Because of the chulsha of the derech. Because they were going, it would make them sick. And with sakana, so they couldn't get priya. But milah they were able to get. That's what the Megillah Starm says. So Rabbi Chanan says, what's the point of a milah without a priya? We know kolsha mavalai parakilulai mal. You're still an aral without priya. So what's the milah of getting a milah without priya? What's the point of it?
Anyway, priya was only from Yeshua.
Priya was only from Yeshua.
Later.
Yeah, but it sounds like they would have done it. It means there was a mitzvah that they would have been mekayim even without a tzivah, but they would have done it without even before the tzivah. So he spars that the vaistais, there's milah and there's priya, and they couldn't do. There's two mitzvahs, and priya they couldn't do because of the chosha of the derech, but milah they're able to do. So vaistais, there's two different mitzvahs, milah and priya. Wasn't it stopped by Avram Avinu, one by Yeshua, but if you do milah without priya, then there's a mitzvah. Maybe you're still an oral, and for all the halachas of arlas, of a nimel, for truma, all these halachas, Kam Pesach, you need both them, mal and priya, but l'maisa, if you could do a milah, then that's a mitzvah on its own, it's kedai. So the Minchas Chinuch asks a kasha, but it sounds like the Iter understood that it's one mitzvah and there's two parts of the mitzvah. There's two halves of the mitzvah, there's milah and priya. And that's why he says you make the bracha afterwards, because anyway it's a bracha shvach, but he doesn't understand why you would make the bracha before the priya. The Minchas Chinuch asks on the Rosh, how can you tell me that the mitzvah of Birchas Lachnis Bris Shel Avram Avinu is a mitzvah on the priya? He said Avram Avinu wasn't at tztava in priya. It was only till Yeshua. So what's Lachnis Bris Shel Avram Avinu? How could that be the bracha on priya? So the Chassam Sofer says, he says like Shema Keteretz, the Chassam Sofer says that Avram Avinu was mitzvah on milah. Mitzvah on milah. Take off the arla. What's the arla? The arla is similar to the brisker. What's the arla? The arla is the arla. What you take off with the priya, the top layer, the top skin. That's a mitzvah, and that's what he was mitzvah in. When by Yeshua, the Eibishter was mitzvah that the priya is also part of the arla. So it's the same mitzvah. It's not a separate mitzvah. The milah used to be just the top layer used to be the mitzvah, and by Yeshua is mitzvah that no, the whole thing is the arla, and now you're mechayiv to take off the whole thing, but it's the same mitzvah. So if it's the same mitzvah, so then taka it's the bris of Avram Avinu. Maybe it'll look different in Avram Avinu's days because the Eibishter was only mitzvah for milah, and now it's neschadish that the arla is bigger, includes the second skin also. But you're mechayiv to take off both, and that's the same bris of Avram Avinu, and that's why it passes the bracha of Lachnis B'Bris Shel Avram Avinu. So the question just is that if it's two different mitzvahs, he's understanding this in the Rosh, and if it's two different mitzvahs, then it doesn't make that. He's obviously understanding it's not two different mitzvahs because he's saying that the same mitzvah grew. The mitzvah of taking off the arla grew from just being the milah to the priya also, so that one mitzvah grew. But the problem is the Rosh says that it's overlas yasin. You make the bracha right before the priya. So if it's not two different mitzvahs, why do you make the bracha right before the priya? So the Achron Monashpar, there's a big chiddush. It sounds like in this Rosh that milah is a hechsher to the mitzvah of taking off the arla. It's a hechsher, and only by priya are you mekayim the mitzvah. Why is it a hechsher? Because the mitzvah is take off this arla, and there are two layers. If you take off one, so it's true you need to take off both of them. It's true you need to take off the top one to get to the bottom one, but really only when you're megala. Priya is from lashon of priya, like priya rosh isha to be megala to be megala here. Only when you're megala the atara is when you're mekayim the mitzvah. So taking off the top layer is not doing the mitzvah. It's just the Achron use lashon. It's just a hechsher to allow you to get to the bottom layer, to take it off and be mekayim the mitzvah with the priya. There's an interesting Mukhi Yosef in Bamitzia that says the shmuz by a kohen going to basic forest to be Meshim and Aveda. The Gemara says that a kohen is not mechuyev. There's Aveda. He sees an Aveda in the basic forest. Not mechuyev to go in because so the Gemara asks why is not mechuyev? It's asay derech loiseh. Hashiv teshivim is mechayvim zasay. And there's a lav of a kohen going into basic forest. So the Gemara says no. It's asay. Asay is not derech loiseh. Asay is also kedeshim tiyu. So it's asay and a loiseh asay. So it's not derech. So the Mukhi Yosef asks a kasha. He says, I don't understand. Let's say it's asay and a loiseh asay, and it should be derech. But why would it be derech anyway? The klal is that asay derech loiseh you need beidna. The lav of, if it would just be a lav of being matama, is the second you step foot into the basic forest. You can't step foot into the basic forest. And the mitzvah of hashiv teshivim is only when you get that veda and give it back to the bailam. So why is it, he says, it should be like milah b'tzaras and sadam b'tzitzis, where it's beidna. It's that time when you take off, if there's a milah if there's a tzaras on the atar, on the arla, so you take it off with the milah, so you're mekayim the mitzvah, and you're over loiseh of taking off tzaras, and sadam b'tzitzis. Also, you're wearing the klayim and the tzitzis at the same time, so it's beidna. Mashiach over here, the isser of kayim basic varas is before the mitzvah of hashiv teshivim. So he brings from the Mukhi brings from the Ran that the Ran says that no, he says it's very similar to milah b'tzaras. He says, what are you going to tell me? That the mitzvah is only done when the mitzvah of hashiv teshivim is only done when you return it to the bailam? He says by milah also, mavlei parki loy mal. You weren't mekayim the mitzvah until the end. Narva, still, milah b'tzaras, since that's the aschal, that's what it takes to get it off. That's even though the mitzvah is only done at the end, but since you're starting now, so that's considered bidna. So also hashiv teshivim, since what it takes to get into the basic to return it is to go into the basic forest, so that should also constitute of asay derech loiseh. And the Mukhi brings from the Rimigash and says no, it's not daimon to milah b'chlal, because milah, his lashon is kol ma shenasa bahu gufa mitzvah. Whatever you're doing, the milah is all migufa mitzvah, and if you don't finish it, then you only did chatzi mitzvah. Mashenken by you only did chatzi mitzvah, but you did chatzi mitzvah means everything is mitzvah. Mashenken by hashiv teshivim, then that's not even the whole purpose is to return it to the bailam. Until then you did nothing, and it's just a hefsher mitzvah. He says. So the Noda B'Yehuda says there's different ways you can understand this machlokes, but the Noda B'Yehuda says that the machlokes is about milah. It's not a machlokes in hashavas aveda. He says machlokes in milah that the Ran held that milah is just a hechsher, and we see that even for a hechsher passes asay derech loiseh. Mashenkin Mukhi Yosef says no, milah is not just a hechsher. Milah is the mitzvah itself. So mamela, you can't be medamet to hashiv teshivim before you pick it up, going to pick it up, because that's a hechsher, and there's no shaykhs to hashiv teshivim, so you can't you can apply, and we shouldn't say aseh dechlesev there, because it's not beidna. That's in the view that wants to be told the machlekes. Where's negay? This shmuz is very negay by the Shulchan Aruch speaks about it. By, let's say you have it's common sometimes the father wants to do the bris, but he's not a male. So what does he do? He wants to do just the chituch. So there's Mila and Priya. The father could do the chituch, the male sets it up for him, and the father could do the chituch. So the father will do the chituch, which is the Mila, and the male will do the Priya. So two people are doing the bris. So what's the problem? On Shabbos, the problem is that the father did the Mila without a Priya. And called Shemav Loi Pars, Kilu Loi Mol, so Ba'atzim he didn't do anything. And only when the male finishes off with the Priya, so the male is finishing off. So there's machlekes in Shulchan Aruch. The Mechaber says that it's aser. He says on Shabbos you can't do it. And the Ramah says it's mutter and there's no problem. So there's machlekes. And we pass in Taka, this for Sfardim, the father should not, if the father is a Sfardi, he shouldn't be doing the chituch. But for Ashkenazim, there's no problem. If the male is a Sfardi, it's not a problem because he's doing the Priya anyway, that's for sure mutter. But if the father is a Sfardi and passing like the Mechaber, he should not do the chituch on Shabbos. Where's the Beis Yosef says, where's it coming from? It's coming from the Gemara on Shabbos. The Gemara on Shabbos says that the Gemara on Shabbos Kuf Lam Gimel says that if there are tzitzin amakvin, right? If you take off the arla entirely and you leave a strand which is ma'akiv because it's covering roiv of the atar, the Gemara says it's a problem. It's ma'akiv. The Gemara says mahalketin es amilo. You need to take everything off. You can't leave any tzitzin amakvin. V'im loy hilket anish kares yichayv kares. Why? Because it's talking about on Shabbos. The moil didn't do a good bris, so he's chayv kares. So the Gemara asks, how can he be chayv kares? Maskevlo of Papa. Why is he chayv kares? Let the moil say, I did half. I'm not avdi palga de mitzvah. Atun avdi su palga de mitzvah. You did the other half. I did half. It's true. I left on a little bit, but you can't be mechayv mikares because this is what I need to be doing. This is the mitzvah. Rashi says over there that he has reshus to do this because that's what it takes to do the mitzvah. And Mameli is not chayv. Rashi sounds like it helps for the chiv. He's not going to be chayv kares. But the Beis Yosef Medaik, but Avada Isser there is. It sounds like in the Beis Yosef that there's an Isser. Why? Because it's true you need to do this to do the Milah, but that's not a mitzvah. The Milah itself is not a mitzvah. If you don't do the entire thing, it itself is not a mitzvah. It's just a hechsher. And Mamela, if you stop there, the Maisa that the father did, that the first person, the Mol did, was just a hechsher. And if he walks off afterwards, all he did was a hechsher, he didn't do the mitzvah. So he's chayiv kares for such a thing. If you do the entire thing and you make turn into a mitzvah, so then you can be pater. So then you'll be mekayim mitzvah, and then you'll be derech Shabbos. But until then, it shouldn't have a dicha for Shabbos. The Rama asks that, what do you mean? Over there, you didn't finish the mitzvah. Over here, the father does the milah. The moil is going to finish off and do the prayer right afterwards. So what's the problem? We know he's going to finish off, and he will finish off a second later. So the Ramah's understanding that each one is a half a mitzvah, and if you don't do it, if you don't finish off, so the half a mitzvah is nothing. But if you finish off, you did half a mitzvah, and he did the other half a mitzvah. Now the first half became a half a mitzvah, and there's no problem at all. So it seems like this is the machlekes, the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah, and the just to speak out. I don't have much more time. I'll just go straight. The Ramah says. He says something very interesting. He says, and not only that, he says, minig all over is to be mater and don't be mitzvah laws in Klal Yisrael, because it seems like that's what they used to do. He says, and Ludim Espina, I would say, it's even better to do it with two moilim on Shabbos. Why? He says, he tells to the sugya, because it's like shenayim שעשו. Two people do a malacha, there's no problem. So here, two people are doing the malacha, there's no problem. That's what the Ramah and Shuvah says. So Shagasari asks, it's a pella. Two people do a malacha, let's say you have Akira and Nacha. So there's one malacha, two people, you split it up into two people, so you're pater. Or two people carry something in Rosh Hashanah, so you're pater. But over here, the meal is a malacha and the prayer is a malacha. They're both doing a malacha. Each one's doing their own malacha. So where's the makom to have a shenayim שעשו? And it's takapal. The Shagasari says it's mamash a tema. You can't understand. I saw from that guy's Baruch Tam. With that I'll stop. He says I don't have an answer to the kasha, but I'll take away the tema. He says the tema I'll take away. Why? He says because ba'atzim you should be pater. What's the malacha? He says chabura. It's mekalkal b'chabura is pater. Narvas, why is it not Mekalkal? Because it's a mitzvah. So it's a tikkun. It's a tikkun aguf, it's a tikkun, it's a mitzvah. So it's not Mekalkal b'chabura, it's a tikkun. The tikkun is only with two people. So he wants to be mechadish. He says it's shver, but he wants to be mechadish. Could be the Ramah held that if the tikkun, if the way you're making it a malacha, because the way you're making it a tikkun is with two people, so two people are making the malacha happen. They're making it be considered malacha. That's considered shenayim שעשו, and it'll be pater on Shabbos. So mela, if I cared, it should be better to do it with two people on Shabbos. The what?
The first guy only does that Shabbos, then the one was right?
Yeah.
Well,
You saying what's his problem? You're saying stam on the Mechaber. You're Mekalkal. Kibshut is not a Mekalkal. Yeah, Kibshut is not a Mekalkal, right? They bring them
meaning, if you know about the second guy's going to fear those, so then it's not a problem. You're doing a mitzvah. Elmai, the percent is that the other guy's going to fear so then it's not going to have wherever you want to say that the other guy's not going to fear
he's saying it's not shenayim שעשו. He's trying to part to you out stick. But no, I never saw anywhere. I heard someone say, the inshallah, if you need to be chayshiv, if the guy's going to fear I didn't think anyone said that. You do it million, he's setting you up. I saw him asked, why is the mol chayiv? It's Mekalkal. He says he's trying to do a sack, and that gufa is taking it. That's fine. Good.